Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaEngine.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. Our first question comes from CGG42. What is your favorite overworld theme? Now, there's a lot of overworld themes. Ironically, I've never been actually a huge fan of the original classic overworld theme, except for the version that was in the handheld games, like Link's Awakening and the Oracle games. I really like that version. That would almost be it, but I think for me, I gotta go with the Spirit Tracks overworld theme when you're riding in the train. It's just so beautiful, so interesting, and it's its own song that doesn't borrow from other games in the series, but still feels very proper in the series. I really like it a lot. It's one of my favorite Zelda songs to listen to. Be sure to tell me your guys in the comments, though. Somebody you don't know asks, what do you think of the handheld Zelda games? They're friggin' great. Camu asks, in Ocarina of Time, I think there was, in the first Zelda encounter cutscene, a glimpse of Hyrule's king. There wasn't, just FYI. But the real question is, do you think that in a future game, Nintendo is going to have the king involved in the storyline? And also, and technically, he was also featured in the backstory of Adventure of Link as well. XX Goku 6318XX asks, for the Wind Waker HD remake, would you want to see something like they did with Ocarina of Time, Master's Quest, or maybe Hero Mode, etc.? I think definitely if they're gonna make this remake, they should definitely have the additions they made to Ocarina of Time 3D. It'd be just weird not to have them. I mean, for the most part, Skyward Sword had them, so I think we can take them as fairly standard in the series. It's fairly standard in the series now. The gossip, well, not gossip, well, the hint stone thingy that Ocarina of Time 3D added. I foresee something like that. I foresee something like the boss challenge. Although Wind Waker does come closest to having that before Ocarina of Time 3D. And, yeah, I think that having some kind of Master's Quest or Hero Mode-like function is probably to be expected. I think that they're going to at least have the stuff that they put in this one. Ball asks, do you find the hookshot in Wind Waker a little bit lacking? I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's the cool hookshot we love, but it has practically no range, no real use in combat that your other items can't accomplish, and you get it at the end of the game. Could it be improved in the HD version? You know, I guess, but actually, I have similar sentiments towards the hookshot in that game, but my opinion is actually that it just shouldn't have been in the game at all. I mean, yeah, it's the classic item, and that's cool, but at the same time, I feel like, what did it add to the game? You already had the grappling hook essentially accomplish that concept of getting across gaps and whatnot, and snatching stuff from enemies. I guess the hookshot never really did that before, but anyway, bottom line is the grappling hook effectively served the hookshot's purpose, and it was a new item, and it was original, and it could be used a little more interestingly. So why did the hookshot have to be in the game? I liked Fam Hourglass for just having the grappling hook and making it function more like the hookshot or whatever, or just replacing the hookshot entirely. I like that. I don't know what they can do in the remake to improve it specifically. It would be nice to see them do something a little different there, but I don't foresee that getting changed a lot. And ultimately, they probably shouldn't be changing the main game all that much anyway. Darunia asks, we have seen Link ride a horse and a giant bird. What about other animals, like an elephant or a kangaroo? It's kind of hard to argue with. You know, yeah, they could do other animals. I don't know about those two specifically, but I think that you generally are just going to see them stick to the typical ones. The horse is the fantasy trope, you know, like, not a lot of reason to change it. The bird thing made sense for the flight. Honestly, can't we just have Link ride nothing but, you know, his boots and maybe a map? Because I just missed on-foot travel, to be honest. I don't need to see another mount, but yeah, they could, I guess. Linky Pete asks, how do you think the rupee originated? Well, the name is an Indian currency, so really they just took the name of something from somewhere and decided to turn it into, you know, something in the Zelda series. Like they did with some other things. There's no real logic there. If you're talking about like in world, really it's probably I'm not sure exactly how currencies will come to this status, or how it's decided what will be the thing of trade. But usually, a currency is something, like, it's probably ultimately that the rupee was considered something of value, that was valued enough throughout the land that they just decided to use it. This is the main trading thing. It's worthless in Subrosia in the Oracle of Seasons, so clearly it's got to be valuable in Hyrule. Cat Cow Birthday asks, why don't we ever see any Gerudo children? All I've seen is both grown women and Ganondorf. I always thought they reproduced with Hylian men, but then I noticed there were never any kids. Where are their children? Well, it's just this thing, like, just because they don't show something doesn't mean it isn't there. You gotta realize that it's a video game where they aren't doing a ton of world building. They aren't expanding it so you can see everything that goes on in the world. It's not about experiencing everyday lives. Majora's Mask is arguably the only Zelda game that kind of touched on that concept. So really, just because they haven't shown it doesn't mean they're not there. There was no reason to show it. There was no reason to put the resources into modeling little girl Gerudos. They just wanted the Gerudos to be the sexy Amazon desert people. So they just made them the sexy Amazon desert people. LD Link 17 asks, how or when was Majora's Mask made? Well, it was developed by Nintendo EAD and published by Nintendo. Probably went through the standard video game development process, you know, programming it, whatever. It released, I don't know when it started being made, but it released on April 27, 2000, in the year 2000, in Japan. I'm kidding, I know that you're not talking about the video game. No one really knows. There's no straight-up answer to this. Sun's Song asks, what do you think of the Indigo-Go's in Majora's Mask, and would you like to see the idea of a famous band or a famous singer again in a future Zelda game? I thought they were cool characters, you know, they were a good addition to the game. I thought that they were interesting. I liked them, and I try to use their song at the end of every mailbag if I can, if I have room, don't have too long of songs, so it says a little something about what I think of the characters. I thought they were enjoyable. I liked a lot of the cast of Majora's Mask, and they're definitely included in that. As for the idea of that concept, you know, sure, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. It was very unusual at the time for the Zelda series, but, you know, that's not necessarily bad, so yeah, why not? True Link LOZ asks, with Twilight Princess having the same Ganondorf as Ocarina of Time and the hero shade officially announced as the Hero of Time, the Link from Ocarina of Time, does this mean that Twilight Princess is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time? Yes. Ocarina of Time fan asks, at the ending of Twilight Princess, after Link defeats Ganondorf, an image of Zant appears. Zant tilts his head and a distinctive crack sound is heard, and then Ganondorf seems to die. Does this mean that Zant killed Ganondorf? And does that mean that Link did not actually kill Zant in their fight previously? I'm pretty sure Zant's supposed to be dead. That whole scene was kind of just surreal and unexplained. What I like to think of it as is simply it was a symbolic scene showing Zant's spirit, or maybe just, I don't know, yeah, just go with his ghost. And just showing that he was not okay with Ganondorf kind of just leaving him and ditching him, which he sort of did. And just, I guess it was just showing, it was their attempt at wrapping up Zant's character is how I look at it. Link Fanatic asks, okay, I got the Hyrule Historia, and there is a part where it talks about Fire and Falbi from Twilight Princess. Apparently Falbi is supposed to be female. Is this true for the final game? Nope, I don't know. I don't have Hyrule Historia yet, so I can't confirm that. I haven't read that myself, but, oh, get it out of my head! Metro Android asks, in A Link to the Past, there was an old woman in Kakariko who says, long ago, a prosperous people known as the Hylia inhabited this land. Legends tell of many treasures of the Hylia hid throughout the land. Since the release of Skyward Sword, I haven't heard anyone mention this dialect. I just wanted to bring this to light. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of things in the old games that don't match up with the new games, so I wouldn't put a lot of thought into it. However, one thing that makes me think of is the fact that Hyrule Historia now talks about how, like, the Hylian bloodline weakened prior to A Link to the Past during the, the imprisoning war. So what it sounds to me is referring to is it's actually the Hylian bloodline, the sacred race and whatnot. Maybe that's not it. It's one of those abstract statements you can't really know what she's referring to because they've never really touched on it in that wording again in the later games. Postman asks, how did Vaati return on 4 swords? Ezlo's curse getting lifted proved that he was dead, unlike when you haven't faced his last form, so how can this be possible? Well, you gotta ask yourself, like, how does Ganon keep getting revived? He keeps dying, explicitly, in several games, and then in another game on the timeline afterwards, he's either just back, no explanation, or it specifically shows him or deals with him being revived, like in the Oracle games and Adventure of Link. So, this revival of villains thing is just a thing that happens in Hyrule. It is something that the people of Hyrule have to learn to deal with, because it happens. So, probably it's the same thing with Vaati. Just because he's died doesn't mean he's dead, you know what I'm saying? Smash101 asks, I was wondering, the Temple of Hylia on Skyward Sword is in the woods. It becomes the Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time, but this time it's in Castle Town. Then in Twilight Princess, the ruins are back in the woods. Do you have any idea of why that is? Well, really, I think you know, it's a little hard to place. It irks me that they keep moving it. So I kind of just think that they keep deciding to change it between games. However, there's a very good chance that it is actually a retcon, that it's actually supposed to be in the woods now, and Ocarina of Time's, you know, placement was just edited out in later games, and they changed it. That's very possible. I kind of think they just can't really decide, and they put it wherever they want. That which it is will become very clear the next time we see the Temple of Time, if ever again. So, Marcascop asks, do you think Nintendo was stupid to have Skyward Sword be sky-based, yet have absolutely no connections to the City in the Sky or the Wind Tribe? Well, not really. If you think about it, those two didn't have any relation to each other either. Slips my mind. Which came... Minish Cap came first. I mean, the City in the Sky didn't reference the Wind Tribe, so it was no different back then. Why would it be different now, you know? Just because they place something in the sky doesn't mean they have to make that connection. It just seems like, in general, in different eras, these different tribes show up. I guess if they intend it to be like they're the Wind Tribe or the Oocca or something, then they should explain it, but it's unclear if the connection was intended, so... Alright guys, this is the last question. Donut George asks, if Ganon from Four Swords Adventures is the new Ganon, does that mean he is still a new incarnation of Demise's hatred? And do you think Malladus is, in a sense, another incarnation of Demise? Well, yeah, I think that at least, yeah, I think that both of them are. I mean, I think the new Ganon certainly is, because he's the new Ganon. I think it's him carrying on the it can be considered him carrying on the legacy of Ganon, just like Ganon carried on the legacy of Demise. And I think of Malladus is probably as well, especially when you consider the Japanese text where it doesn't talk about it like, oh, it's Demise's hatred reincarnated. It's more like this curse of the demon tribe. The demons are going to keep coming back and the evil will keep reemerging or whatever. So when it's in that more abstract way, I think it definitely fits that Malladus is a... I think we can basically count on that basically every single frickin' evil thing in the Zelda series ties back to Demise. Because he's the devil. The Zelda series. He's the Zelda devil. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact page in the description. Information in the description. Haven't messed that up in a while. And I'll see you guys later. And I think it came out in, like, it was released in Japan at, I think, April 27, 2000. And you even have the Oracle games where it specifically deals with Ganon's revival. Sky, based yet... What the freaking hell?